live. We are live, friends. Happy Thursday. It is my dear friend, Majid Padel in Brooklyn Dad Defiant. We're talking about the Edge building in New York City because Brooklyn and I grew up on the outskirts of New York City. Brooklyn grew up in New York City, and our skyline, which had the World Trade Center in it, looks very, very different now for many reasons than it did when we were kids. But there's a building in what is called Hudson Yards. Have you seen Hudson Yards yet?
Oh, yeah, I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that again,
Also, if you have not yet gone to the Highline Park, I'd highly
yes.
recommend it.
Oh my
Okay.
God. And
Yeah.
we were joking about my puffy shirt. I got this. So I got this puffy shirt. I don't want to be a pirate. I got this in the H&M that is in the mall in Hudson Yards, where the Edge building is in. And by the way, the restaurant there is very, very good. It's called Peak. It is very, very good. And the views are unrivaled. Although, last thing I'll say, I would argue that the restaurant on top of the Freedom Tower, which has an even better view.
I've never been.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
First of all, the view, I mean, I got emotional being up there because, like, you know what was there and you know why it's there. And, you know, when you grow up here, it's very personal because we all know people. And my ex-husband worked at Windows on the World. My roommate worked at Windows on the World.
Oh, hang on. I have been to Windows on the World. I spoke there when I was a teenager, but never been to when I was in Phoenix House, drug rehab. I spoke there.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to the
Freedom Tower. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional experience for everybody, I think. But like, when just knowing why it exists, I couldn't stop thinking about that. I think that we owe them that kind of deference. But I will say this, which sounds casual, but the restaurant is really good. Like, it's really, they have a tasting menu and it's really good, and it's a whole experience. But I recommend it. But it is interesting that we're talking about this because I want to jump off real quick. I don't know what you want to talk about. I want to talk about all the things, but I have been, as the day has progressed, I've been getting increasingly angry about Donald Trump giving a murderous prince that tortured, that had an American journalist tortured, someone who 15 of the 19 hijackers, by the way, came out of Saudi Arabia. And he got a fucking flyover, dude. He got a fucking flyover and a gala, and he was treated like so he was a celebrity and a hero. And Donald Trump did that Epstein lip bitey thing he does when he's getting this little mushroom peen all, you know, perked up because he's around a bad guy who gets to disappear journalists. And he fielded a question from Nancy Bruce, I think that was her name, from ABC News.
Yeah.
And he did what he does. He did the quiet piggy, but he did that sitting there next to someone who murdered a journalist, tortured a journalist for daring to be a journalist. And Trump would fucking love to be able to do that. And as we're sitting here talking about the Freedom Tower, talking about the World Trade Center, and talking about 9/11, MBS not only did he get a flyover, our Pentagon is selling him fighter jets, the country that 15 of the 19 hijackers flew planes into our Pentagon and our World Trade Center and into the ground at Shanksville. And they have the audacity to say Mamdani means that New Yorkers have forgotten about 9/11. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Sorry. Fuck you. All day I've been getting more mad about this. All day. There it is. Fuck you.
Yeah. So the thing with Mamdani, it's selective racism, right?
Yeah.
Because he keep in mind, he also hosted a former Al Qaeda dude, the guy from Syria, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, he's our Arab is their mentality, you know.
Right.
And because Zoran Mamdani cares about affordability, because he cares about you know, making life better for New Yorkers, and and making it a little bit more uncomfortable for their billionaire donors. That's why he is persona non grata. They try to tag him with this communist label or socialist label. And I did a segment on Storytime with BDD about, like, what is communism? You know, because I feel like people throw the word around a lot, and I've accused a lot of people who call me a communist
Yeah.
on Twitter, um,
Mhm.
I, I accuse him. I say, like, I bet you couldn't even identify what communism is, and
Right.
so they're throwing those labels at him to try to negatively brand him. But he is extremely popular, and the reason he's been so successful with his messaging is because he is basically talking about the things that people want to hear. They want things to be more affordable. I remember living in a rent controlled apartment. My
Mhm.
grandmother's apartment was rent controlled. God
Oh,
rest her
wow.
soul. And yeah, and I inherited it from her. You know how much I paid?
Oh,
$350 a month.
oh my god.
Yes.
Wow. Where
It's a
was it?
one
Brooklyn?
bedroom. It was massive.
I
It's
had
in
I
Washington Heights. It was great.
I lived in Washington Heights.
So
In
I lived in Inwood, right? So which is like the upper Washington Heights, like 196th Street and Broadway.
Oh, okay, so maybe I wasn't quite in Washington Heights. I was on 125th and Broadway, but I was always under the impression that that was Washington Heights.
125th and Broadway is Harlem.
It's definitely Harlem.
So I think Washington Heights starts around 157th Street,
Oh, okay.
around there.
I
Yeah.
have a good friend who lives in Inwood and, like Diker Street? Is it
Dyckman Street.
I
Yeah.
love it there. It's one of my
Uh-huh.
favorite neighborhoods in New York. You ever
Johnny's Pizza.
Oh my god, it's one of my favorite neighborhoods. By the cloisters, there's all these parks, and you can see the frickin' Palisades. There's a
Yeah, that's it.
beach you can swim in a little bit north of there. Yeah, I swear to God, I Googled this recently. I had a good friend who lived in that section. I know, crazy, but anyway, yeah, and when I was on 125th and Broadway, I lived above a little restaurant called Toast, and I was in a rent-controlled apartment that was a 3-bedroom, 1 bath,
Ooh,
that was 800 a month. 800.
ooh.
Yeah, 4th floor walk up, directly across from the number 1 train. Like, literally, I was like, every time the train would go by, I was at eye level with that motherfucker. Yeah.
So the last apartment I was renting, and by the way, I regret so many years of renting in New York because, like, I don't know, I grew up in an apartment, right? Um, and it never even entered the realm of possibility that I would ever live in a house that was my own, right?
Yeah.
Because life happens, and I made really bad decisions, and my drug addiction thing led me down a path where I was just so I had to make child support payments, so I could only afford a furnished room to live in. So I
Mm,
was living in a room in someone else's house for like,
mm.
14 years, like a really long time.
Damn.
Anyway, long story short, um, the last time I had an apartment, it was a studio apartment in Brooklyn for 1,800 a month. A studio.
Yeah, yeah,
So so shit is unaffordable, and
yeah.
people are not going to be gaslit by, Trump saying, "Oh, prices are coming down," and Caroline Levitt saying, "Prices are coming down." You know what? We actually shop. We
Yeah.
go to the grocery store. Grocery, by the way, is not a brand new word. We go ourselves, and we know how much shit costs. So you're not going to gaslight us. Anyway, I got away from the attack on Zoran Mamdani. Let the guy get sworn in first before you start attacking him. For random shit and for attacking him for who he is. Let him get sworn in and do something. You know, give him a chance.
Yeah, and there's all this hypocrisy again, and hypocrisy is like one of the only true fundamental platforms that exist in MAGA anymore. I mean, they're certainly not conservatives, but the hypocrisy of them criticizing New Yorkers for voting him in when he's Muslim, like Donald Trump is holding the Live Golf tournament in the Saudi Live Golf tournament in the shadow of where the towers once stood, and the
Ooh,
families. What?
where?
Live. Have you heard of Live? Like, so
Yeah, no, no. Where is he holding? You
he
said
had
in the
it in
shadow.
Bedminster. He had it at here in
Oh,
New
okay.
Jersey.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
stone's throw from New York City. I mean, Bedminster is 40 minutes, 45 minutes from lower Manhattan as the crow flies. It's not far. And it's
Yeah.
just rubbing it in their faces. And the families implored him, don't do this. And they implored him not to do this in the Oval Office too. And it's like, again, with the Epstein survivors, it's that they're not the center. They're not the focus. For Donald Trump, it's not about anybody else. It's not about, respecting anybody else or respecting their requests or honoring their fallen. It's about him. It's about appeasing him. It's about him getting his jollies off of dictators and despots and bad guys, because that's his vibe, right? That's what resonates with him, because he wants to be one. He doesn't like Zelensky, because Zelensky likes democracy, because Zelensky is compelled by something bigger than himself, because that's the same reason he disdained John McCain. That's the same reason, he doesn't like public servants, because he sees that all as weak. That's why he asked John Kelly what was in it for them at Arlington. I mean, it's all fucking gross. Donald Trump sitting there like a predator biting his lip and trying to high-five, MBS, and then saying that Khashoggi was a controversial figure and that things happen. What the fuck? And last thing I'll say about this, Eugene Vindman, brother of my personal hero in all things of life, Alex Vindman, and law of our dear friend Rachel Vindman. Eugene was at the NSA in the first season of this shit show, and he was privy to a conversation that Donald Trump had with MBS at the time, where Donald Trump assured him that he would take care of him when it came to the issue of Khashoggi. No matter, this is disgusting, and we deserve to see those transcripts, by the way. But it's all hypocrisy. This is a fucking 5-time draft dodger who woke up this morning after having to sign the Epstein files, his name is all over, and was like, you know what? Let's hang Democrats. Let's hang all these Democrats who've served our military and in our CIA, because they had the audacity to implore our military to refuse to comply with unlawful orders. Why did Donald Trump take offense to that? That's a weird thing to take offense to if you don't plan on asking them to comply with unlawful orders.
Can I tell you why we're talking about that today? So it's not by accident. It's not a brain fart from him. It's very calculated. I've been watching the news all day long, both CNN and I'm not calling it MS Now, just so you know. It's MSNBC. Like, I'm still calling it Twitter. You think I'm going to start calling it that MS Now? That's dumb. I'm still calling it HBO, not Max or HBO Max. That nonsense. Anyway, watching the news all day, and they've been almost nonstop talking about this thing. And granted, it's not a small thing. He's once again pumped up the violent rhetoric against Democrats, and it's irresponsible and blah, blah, blah. But guess what we're not talking about today?
Epstein.
We're not talking about the Epstein files, number one. Number two, we actually had some wins this week, by the way. Like the whole Texas redistricting thing. People think that's not a big thing. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Right? So I believe he deliberately launched that Truth Social thing, knowing that everybody was going to jump all over it and criticize, and let's discuss why is he calling for people to be hanged and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying we should ignore it, but I'm saying we should pay attention to the things that he is trying to distract us from. This Epstein case is the only thing in the past decade that we've been paying attention to this jackass. The only thing he has been unable to shake off. He has not been able to shake himself free of this. He just a little while ago, what's your face? Caroline Levitt was making excuses for Trump, calling that reporter, saying that reporter quiet piggy.
Yeah.
And she was saying, "Oh, he's frank and honest, and that's why people people elected him." Well, actually, no, he's not honest, and he's not frank either. And you know what? He has said more nasty, negative things about reporters, about members of Congress, about Americans than he has said about Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. The worst thing he was able to say about Jeffrey Epstein was just the other day when he said, I got rid of him from Mar-a-Lago because he was a perverted creep. So when was it that you knew he was a perverted creep? Because around the time you said you got rid of him, he hadn't been arrested for anything yet. So you mean to tell us that you knew he was doing stuff that he could have been arrested for, yet you chose not to say anything about it until 2 days ago, 6 years after he's been um, unalived. Uh, what have you been hiding all this time? Why didn't you speak up earlier about this perverted creep that you also thought was a terrific guy because he likes to hang out with women, with girls that are very young? Hmm?
Well, I mean, it's as if the birthday card that he's saying is fake that came from the Epstein estate doesn't exist. It's as if we don't have timelines where we know that after he said he expelled him from his club, he didn't. He was still going to his club. It's as if those emails that implicate Donald Trump over and over and over again, the dog that hasn't barked yet, etc. Right? Somehow they're both fake and they were leaked at the same time, which is, just like the classified documents that ended up in his bathroom were put there, but also he declassified because he could. I mean, none of it ever makes sense. It doesn't square. But here's the thing about that. Right?
That's right.
Right? You classified it with my mind. But like for MAGA, most of this shit, it's like they're like, fine, I'll believe that. And in many cases, they are willing to believe him when he says fake news or when he says something is AI or when he says something is fake or whatever. But you're right about this when it comes to the Epstein stuff. He has not been Teflon when it comes to this stuff because he's been so fucking weird about it. Because he's the one who said he was going to release these files because I don't know what the fuck he was thinking at that time. I don't know how he didn't know that his name was all the fuck over them or if he just thought people were going to forget. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said at that press conference the other day, I have been MAGA since day one. I'm actually America first. And Donald Trump has not followed through with the things that he said. But also to your point about Ghislaine Maxwell, for whom he's never said a bad word about, never, not once, never,
Nope.
never. He wished her well. Her well. No one has pressed him hard enough, or Pam Bondi, or Todd Blanche, or looks like he's smelling his own farts, Kash Patel, or Bingo Bongo. I want them to push them on this one question every day. Why is Ghislaine Maxwell, why was a 20-year sentence convicted child sex trafficker and perjurer moved from a regular security prison to a bougie club fed? That's an indisputable fact. She was flown via private jet. This is never happens, okay?
Oh, wait, I didn't know that. She went by private jet?
Oh, yeah, she sure did. And then she got there.
Sure.
And she's gotten such special treatment that one of the prison guards described off the record, Jamie Raskin knows as a whistleblower there, that he was tired of being her bitch. She has internet access. She has drinks delivered to her room. She has yoga and she has a therapy puppy. Someone who abused children has been given a vulnerable animal, a puppy. And what I don't understand is why the press isn't asking every single one of them every day. In addition to, why are your hands covered with cake makeup? Do you have grayscale? I want to know why Ghislaine Maxwell was moved after she gave that bullshit testimony to Donald Trump's former personal attorney. I don't understand why we can't add 2 and 2 and make 4. What the fuck are people doing?
I am with you 1,000% on asking that particular question because it boggles my mind. It boggles my mind that we don't know. Since we learned that she was, first of all, that she was given that transfer to that facility, that you're not allowed, a convicted sex offender is not allowed to get that kind of transfer unless they have specific, it's got to go up the chain.
Yeah.
Nobody's offered an explanation for why that was approved and who approved it, right? And who's approved? She gets like special meals, special culinary meals. Like, what the fuck? And here's the thing, though. That press conference earlier today with Caroline Levitt, somebody asked her a question, and it might have been the same question about Mary Bruce or Piggy or whatever, and she said, here's the thing: you all get unprecedented access. And she hit those words the same way a lion tamer cracks their whip. She said unprecedented access. Like she wanted to highlight that if you push me too far, then you're going to lose your access. That was in my opinion, that was the unspoken threat in her highlighting, in her spanking those words. So why certain things don't get asked when they should, why people don't push back as hard as they can, as hard as they did when Joe Biden was in office, they pushed back hard. They
Oh
were
yeah.
downright rude and disrespectful. But they've noticed from this administration that they're vindictive, and I think they're scared for some reason. They're scared, despite the fact that a nobody like Thomas Massey bucked Trump and um, that whole Republican Stonewall and said, nah, fuck you guys. I'm going to do this because it's right. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, I still don't like her, still don't trust her. Um, but if she's going to do a Freaky Friday with John Fetterman and kind
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
and kind of seem like she has some sense, she's also not just talking about the Epstein thing. She's also been talking about affordability.
Yeah.
I know
Mhm.
AOC said, the reason that she did that is because she wanted to be governor and Trump said
Senate.
no. I don't care what her reason is. For right
Yeah.
now, the enemy of my enemy, maybe not my friend, but
No.
well, we can talk. We can talk as long as you are throwing haymakers in his direction and bringing down the hammer about his failures to help Americans in the grocery store and with healthcare. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and he said the other day, affordability last night or something. Affordability is a new word too. So groceries and affordability, all new words. I had Rokana on my podcast today. It's going to come out tomorrow, I think. And we were talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we were talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, and we were talking about this move to this bougie club Fed. And he said when that story first broke, that the survivors who were there to talk about their stories and share their experiences and talk about this legislation, that what they wanted to talk about first and foremost was how insane it was, how much of a slap in their faces, a spit in their faces, how grotesque it was that she was moved like that she was
Yeah,
given that kind of special treatment. He said all of them were saying, how dare he? What the fuck? And so many of them voted for him.
yeah.
And like, it is gross, but he also said, and I find this very interesting too, because you're right about Marjorie Taylor Greene. My God, I have no love for Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I firmly believe that she is still a bigot. She is an anti-Semite and a bigot, and she likes the Fuentes, and she supports all of that, and she can't get a pass on that. I will, like did Liz Cheney, allow myself to include people in my tent when they are aligned on the right side of history, and on this, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been, and what the inception might have been to stick it to the guy who wouldn't support her run for Senate. I believe that is the origin story here. What happened with the Epstein case
Oh,
was that,
Senate. Sorry, you're right. Yeah.
yeah, was that she started hearing from the survivors. They started sharing their stories, and other Republicans too. And when you hear these women, these adult women talking about being children, 14 years old, some of them saying they want to see what's in the files because they don't remember what was done to them, because they have
Mm.
so much trauma that they can't,
Close it off.
right? And that they want to see the files so that they can get some kind of closure there, right? Some kind of reconciliation. When you hear them describing the way that they were used to groom and to gather their own friends, because that was how they were able to survive, the guilt that they carry that they don't deserve, the shame that they carry that is not theirs to be burdened with. They've been carrying this for decades, right? So when Marjorie Taylor Greene began to hear those stories, and when those survivors were saying, thank you for giving a voice to this, thank you for fighting someone you've supported through 3 elections more than anyone, when they I think some part of that, maybe she's human adjacent as a mother, right? I think that broke through, and I think, to your point, and I'll close with this before you close and we go. What that vote, those votes, the shy of Clay fucking Higgins, and unanimous consent in the Senate. What that should show Donald Trump et al., Mike Johnson, and all of the other feckless, taint-supping, sycophantic, weathercock toadies that have been busy washing his balls because they were afraid of him for so fucking long is you have more power in the numbers that you bring to the table than that piece of shit has with he's doesn't have any coattails. He doesn't care about you. He'll hang every one of you out to dry. But if you actually work together, you can make him capitulate. You can make him bend so that he wakes up in his, freaking French fry grease stained, bronzer baked, freaking Chernobyl looking bed, deciding I don't want people talking about the fact that I just sealed my own fate here. I want them talking about the fact that I'm trying to hang Democratic lawmakers for having the audacity to implore fellow members of the military not to break the law for me. I think that's a win. And I think they should all be bolstered by it. And I think he's fucked himself once and for all. I do.
I agree 100%. And I also agree about the fact that his veneer of invincibility has been has cracks in it, a lot of cracks in it. People are seeing he is a lame duck right now, and this is how people are beginning to treat him. This week, I did a new Substack article that I hope you guys out there will take a look at. Because when we were kids, we were told stories, right? Bedtime stories, fables, Aesop's fables, and, nursery rhymes, all that stuff. But the fables and the stories we were told, they always had a moral of the story. The Boy Who Cried Wolf was the fable about, being honest. And if you're not honest, people aren't going to believe you when you need them to. The tortoise, the tortoise and the hare, slow and steady wins the race. There was always like a moral to the story. And what we're seeing, and the moral of the story was ultimately that good triumphs over evil. Pretty much, that there are consequences when you act like an asshole. Basically, the majority of our stories were telling us that.
Yeah.
The big bad wolf was always the recipient of an ass whooping of some sort. But today, in today's world, in today's Trumpian world, Trump is that big bad wolf who has been up until now evading consequences. And that time is over.
Yeah.
That time is over, and we get to write those endings. But we've got to be in it to win it.
100%. And yeah, it's not certainly not the end for sure. It's the beginning of the end, and we are going to be the ones who bring the reckoning. Yeah, guys, please subscribe to Brooklyn Substack. We're all out here doing our best all the time, trying to carve our way through, trying to show up for everybody, and for each other. And you guys show up for us every day. So I am personally grateful to all of you for that. I've talked about this a lot. Substack has changed my life, given me a sense of community I never knew, and supported me and my family in ways that I've never experienced before. And Brooklyn is a good guy out there fighting the good fight and getting into good trouble, and doing good work. So it's always great to talk to you. I always feel better. I always wish we had more time. I know we could do this all day long. And thanks for everybody in the comments. And yes, please go check out Defiant Dispatches, Brooklyn's Substack, and check out Storytime.
And Joe, thank you. That's my soundboard. I'm having fun with it.
Oh,
Thank you for inviting me into this weekly discussion with you, and for bringing me into Substack. It's. I wish I had taken your advice sooner. You've been telling me for a while to get in, but it is definitely a rewarding community. And yeah, I'm gonna stay with it and do what I can to help prop up our community and keep us all engaged and hopeful about the
Yeah.
future.
Yep. I mean, what choice do we have, right? Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody in the chat. Thanks, Brooklyn. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.